probably under a rock somewhere. But if you wanted to learn some how to answer some overcoming objections, some questions you can handle, get back in 60 seconds. Let's go.
Let's go.
We are live. Thanks everyone for being here on a special edition SolarCon keynote speaker live stream coming from the Solar Objections Facebook group, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So get in the comment section, say what's up, where you're from, because today we have a very special guest. I mean, this guy sells megawatts on megawatts on megawatts, and we can keep going. He is a author, No Matter What, coming out soon. He is a motivational speaker. He is a keynote speaker. He is going to be the keynote speaker at SolarCon. Actually, the very first speaker at the very first SolarCon. Everybody give it up. The great MOD, Michael O'Donnell, baby.
Joe Muscaheel, so good to be with you, and just excited to be on another edition of Solar Objections. I get all kinds of crap from my people when I jump into Solar Objections. The next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later and I'm still like answering. I just love the whole idea of helping sales reps help customers overcome their objections, get them up and over. And love getting on the site, love being on the podcast, love listening to the podcast. Really, really excited about being the very first speaker at the very first SolarCon coming up here in April at the Salt Palace. So excited to be working with you and Jake on that, and looking forward to that coming up.
So am I, and you've been giving so much value to the solar industry and to the Solar Objections group. I see you in there. I see you like sporadically jumping in there to answer a bunch of objections, giving awesome value, and really getting in there. So I really appreciate that. And if you guys appreciate Michael O'Donnell, go ahead, get in the comments, say what's up, say thank you. If you have a chance, this is a good opportunity to ask those objections that are really hard for you to answer, or questions that you've had, or advice. I mean, we got the great MOD in the house.
Let's break them down. Let's get over them.
If you guys do want your name shown, make sure you go to the bottom of the post and click on the StreamYards link to give us permission to show your name, or it's going to say Facebook user, and we won't know who you are. But if that's what you want to do, you can do that too. But it's very easy. Click on it, show your name, give us permission so we can show your name to everybody else. All right, everybody, Michael O'Donnell is actually doing us a big favor, and he's coming on to help us answer some questions and objections. So get in there. And so let's get started. What do you think, Michael?
I'm loving it. Let's go.
So we just got a bunch of comments first, so then we'll get right into some objections, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, baby, let's go. So everybody's tagging their friends to get on here. We got fireworks. Let's go. Everybody's clapping their hands. Everybody's like, everyone jump on. Let's go. And we got been watching some of your videos, some good stuff, Mike.
Right
I think
on.
at least you can say that. Hey, Michael, I've been hearing the same things about your videos and your training. You want to talk a little bit about that before we get into it?
You know, it's been just unbelievable to go to events like D2D-Con and even RoofCon and have people come up to me and just want to talk to me about what they've learned, and to have people approach me and say, I sold, 6 solar systems in the first 6 months that I sold solar. And then, I found your videos on D2D University, or now I found your videos on MOD Sales Academy. .com, and all of a sudden, I've sold 26 solar systems like in the last 6 weeks. To me, that's just so moving and so exciting. That's been my benefit, is that I found people that knew how to sell solar, and selling solar is super easy. In fact, it kind of sells itself if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it's super hard. Everybody gets excited about the idea of savings and helping the planet. And they always want to do it, and buy on a different day. So I was fortunate back in 1983 to meet some guys that had been selling aluminum siding, literally for 30. Everyone talks about coffees for closers and all the memes, put down that coffee. That comes from a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross. There's another movie just as good called 10 Men, Danny DeVito, Richard Dreyfuss. And it's about the guys doing what we do, going door to door, talking to the housewife, trying to get an appointment to come back that night and show a proposal around aluminum siding and what it can do for them. It's a big ticket item that costs, it's a good amount of money. It's a lot more than painting your house, but there's these huge long-term benefits. It's just similar to solar. And I met some guys that were selling solar in 1983, 1984 that had been selling aluminum siding since the 50s and the 60s. They were the guy in that movie, 10 Men. And they adapted that over to solar, showed me how to do it. And right off the bat, I was selling, 2-3 solar systems a day in 1983, 1984. And that would not have been the case if someone didn't show me how to do it. So absolutely love being able to show people that are coming into the solar industry how to sell solar. And I've been able to break that down into a real codified method. And at first, I was on the D2D University, where Sam and I shot some videos, and that was pretty good. Had guys coming up to me that had lots and lots of benefit out of that. And that inspired me to create some actual codify what I do, exactly how do you overcome objections, how do you present, and most importantly, how do you close appointments, be able to get that down so that people can repeat it. Brad Lee, who owns VT Lightspeed, which is where MOD Sales Academy is, talks about the fact that exposing people to information is not the same thing as training. And in order to have somebody know how to do something, they've got to see it 2, 3, 4, 6 times. He advocates making them watch it till they're annoyed by it. and because exposure doesn't teach you how to do it. He likes to say, exposure in Nevada is illegal. So in order to get your training, it's got to be repetitive. So having that content now on MOD Sales Academy gives people the ability to listen to it once, listen to it again. Their managers can assign it. And so I've had just tremendous feedback with it and having a lot of fun with it. And it's exciting to have it there available. My folks at Sunsolar Solutions, I've been training them how to sell solar now for 5, 6, 7 years. I've got people that, we had over 6 people on stage getting a Golden Door Award. It's very easy to sell solar if you know how to do it. But if you don't know how to do it, it's real hard. And so it wasn't my idea to share that with the whole planet. Sam Taggart sort of got me to do that without even thinking about it. Next thing you know, a lot of people were giving tremendous feedback, and it became clear to me that it was important to the planet that solar gets sold correctly and that more people that look at it say yes. And it's been real exciting to have that been going on at such an incredible level.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, speaking of training and overcome objections, we're going to get into that. And these guys, this is not, there's a lot of value in this training. He's going on for free, giving it out with no problem, dropping gold nuggets. We already got some excitement here. So go ahead, get your questions in right now. Any objections, any question, any advice you want to ask Mr. Michael O'Donnell, this is the time to do it. Casey Lopez wanted to jump in. He said, love seeing MOD on here. Everyone's mind is about to be blown if it hasn't already from his videos and speaking.
That's very nice of you, Casey.
He said, nice. All right. So we got our first objection here, and then we'll get into it. So guys, go ahead, get in the comments, get in the questions. So we have here a Facebook user. I'd like to see what your response is if customers doesn't qualify for the tax credits because of income and retirement pay.
And that's a great question. So one of the big ways that we make solar pencil out is we take the tax credit. By the way, everyone gets the tax credit. If you purchase solar, you get the tax credit. Now, you may not have a liability to turn that credit into usable cash that you can apply towards a solar loan. So it's super important that you meet with the customer and in the beginning start really qualifying them to understand what the best solution for them is. So for me, I work for a company that has both sales and leasing. Some people have PPAs available. If you can put someone into the right product, they're going to get to take advantage of the tax credit, whether they have a tax liability or not. So if I sit with someone and they're retired, Social Security, and there does take some exploring, because a lot of people who are retired have money in 401ks. They're going to have to pay taxes on that money when they take the money out of a 401k, or they have money in various investment streams. So I've had a lot of people that have usually no tax liability, but because they went solar and had a tax credit, that enabled them to take access to some retirement funding and coordinate that with the tax liability with the tax credit. But if they really don't have any kind of tax liability coming in their future, the best thing to do is put them into a product that is going to have the tax credit built in. And that's exactly what a solar lease does. It's also what a PPA does. The tax credit is built in. Now, let's just say you work for a company and they don't have a lease or a PPA, or for some reason it doesn't make sense for that particular customer. And sometimes you'll get customers that say, oh, I don't have a tax liability and I don't want a lease, or I don't want a PPA, I want to own it. You know what? That's okay. Especially if they're paying cash for the system. They're going to have that tax credit. If they ever do get a liability, it will apply. It lasts. It stays with them until they do have a liability. However, if you just know they're not going to, and you put them into a loan product and you show them the monthly payment for the solar with the tax credit applied and the monthly payment, if they never apply the tax credit, they're almost always going to get an immediate benefit. And they'll get a benefit over time, whether or not they do apply the tax credit or not. That's just an added benefit. For that customer, I would show them the monthly payment without a tax credit applied, tell them they're going to get an 18-month discount, and then the payment's going to go up to that amount. If they ever get a tax credit or a tax liability, then it would apply, but sell it with the monthly payment as the first 18 months is sort of a discount, and after that, the payment goes up. Normally, that payment is still going to be fixed, which is excellent, which is why you want to go solar. It's also going to be less in most cases than the utility payment anyway. So you don't need the tax credit to make it sell. In fact, we won't have the tax credit to sell solar in a very, very short amount of time. We won't have a tax credit. So get used to selling solar without a tax credit. And that applies to people who are retired or don't have a tax liability. It's still better to get solar. The payment's still going to be lower and it's still going to be fixed. The big problem with the utility bill is that it's not fixed. It's going to go up over time. It's going to be a big, big problem for it. It's not set. It's not predictable. So it's still a huge benefit, even if they don't have a tax liability.
That's such great advice. And a lot of solar pros don't do that. They focus on the first 18 months and they try to get the first 18 months even lower. Like that's what's stopping them from going solar. That's not
right.
The next 18 months after that, right?
Hopefully solar is less, but saving $16 or $62 or whatever per month, that's not the reason to go solar. If you think it is, you're selling solar incorrectly, and you need to start selling it according to the real benefits. The fact that it's less is a selling point, but that's not the reason to go solar.
I concur with what he's saying. They said, Mike's the real deal. Taught me solar. You taught a lot of people solar, Mike. How's that feel? Have so much an impact on the solar industry, man.
Like I said, my daughter gets a little annoyed when I'm at an industry event and she's with me. She's one of my assistants, and she knows I'm just dad. And when people are coming up to me, wanting to talk to me, and are telling me that they learned how to sell solar from watching my videos, and more and more people want to talk to me, she's like, she gets annoyed. It's like, she kids me around. She goes, Dad, it's kind of like you're famous, but only in this one stupid room. It's like, oh, okay. Well, probably it's not a bad way to be famous. Be famous in one room. This way you can walk around the rest of the planet without being bugged. But anyway, it's really gratifying. So, I mean, I've been about to go on stage and had somebody come up to me and say, dude, I was about to fail. I was failing. And then you took the time to show me how to sell solar. I was able to access the videos to do that. And all of a sudden now my financially, my family is well off. I'm well off. I'm successful. I'm at the top of my leaderboard. Like I've been so moved by that. I didn't know what I got up on stage and lost completely everything I was thinking about, talking about, and had to kind of do a reset and start over. So it's super gratifying.
You're definitely solar famous, and you're solar famous for the right reasons. So
Well, thanks, Joe.
You're doing a great impact, man. So we got another objection, and I'm sure you heard this one once in a while. Facebook user said, I want to sleep on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we want you to sleep on it as well. In fact, we're going to get the paperwork done tonight. We're going to give you all the time in the world to validate your decision. This solar system's not going to be on your roof tomorrow. It sounds to me like you're about 98% of the way there. It sounds like you got about 2% left to validate this decision. We're going to give you all the time in the world to validate the decision. I'm going to be on standby. I'm going to have all the information you could possibly want at a snap of a fingertips. We covered a lot of information. Tomorrow you're going to have questions. So we're going to need you to sleep on it. We're going to need you to sleep on it for 3 days or 10 days, whatever that period of time that you give folks to sleep on it. However, it's super imperative, very important that we get the process started today. And that process includes all the time in the world for you folks to validate your decision. Make sure you love me, you love the company, you love the price, you love everything. But it's imperative that we get this process moving forward, because if we don't start, it never finishes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fire. We got a comment coming. I'm going to keep moving along because we have so much comments coming in and so little time. My Facebook said, my boy, MOD, fire. You got a lot of fans out there. All right, so we got another one. I don't know why nobody's putting their names in, but I guess everybody's going anonymous. Facebook user wants to know, how do you go about dealing with a homeowner that keeps rescheduling and having new excuses every time you talk to them?
Yeah, and that happens when I'm trying to constantly move forward. I think it's important that you do follow up. I think it's important that you take your to be rescheduled and get them back onto the calendar. But the most important thing is not to let those tasks substitute the task of creating new appointments. So solar and selling a ton of solar and being on stage at D2D-Con or wherever your stage is for selling, an unbelievable amount of solar doesn't come from follow-up. It comes from continuing to make sure you're constantly talking to new people. And rescheduling old appointments is one of the ways people can get lost down a rabbit hole, or following up with people that can't make decisions. And they let that take the place of the thing that we all know causes appointments to happen. When you meet someone today and they're serious and you're serious, and you set an appointment for it later on today or tomorrow, and that appointment happens, those folks are going solar. And if you got people that are all over the place and they're kind of, if I'm going to give them an opportunity or two to get back on my calendar, I'm the one who's busy, right? I'm going to give them an opportunity to get back on my calendar. And then I'm going to offload that to people who do follow up. I'm going to put that back into a marketing zone with people who do marketing to set appointments again. I'm going to put that back with a, kind of a setting team to go back and set more appointments. So I'm going to put them in a bin. I'm going to work them. If they don't turn back an appointment, I'm going to get them off of my plate, because what's important for me is to move forward. Be setting 2 or 3, 4, 5 appointments every single solitary day. And if I get sideways chasing people who can't make decisions or make commitments, that's not good for me. It's not even good for them. Then I just become a pest.
That's a little controversial, though, right? That's not what the the whole industry is kind of saying. Like, they're saying a follow up. It's going to take 8 to 9 touches before.
Yeah, it doesn't take me that time. So if you are somebody who is closing at a low level, if you're having a high number of cancellations for your appointments, you might want to look at what skill set do you need to improve so that those appointments stick. When I'm on your doorstep and I'm saying I'm coming back tomorrow. And by the way, I'm going to need your wife here because it's important. I need both of you here so that we can go over the solution and show it to you. I'm going to be here. I mean, barring me getting hit by a car and ending up in the hospital, I'm going to be here. Are you going to be here as well? And by the way, you are my appointment for tomorrow. You are my job tomorrow. Can you do me a favor? If for some reason, if you guys end up in the hospital hit by a car, and can you think of any reason why, tomorrow night's not going to work? If it's not going to work, do me a favor. This is very important to me. This is my job for tomorrow night. If for some reason tomorrow night's appointment can't happen, can you please reach out to me and let me know that in advance, because it's really important for me to get another appointment scheduled for tomorrow night. Otherwise, I'm unemployed tomorrow night.
I always try to like look them straight in the eyes and shake their hands. Like just that just makes it a little stronger commitment. What do you think?
I'm going to be here, barring a car accident, which I'll let you know. I'm going to be here. Can you think of any reason at all like tomorrow night's going to work for you guys? That's perfect. If something does come up, please let me know. This is my job tomorrow night. I don't want to be unemployed.
Awesome question and objection, guys. Keep rolling it in. Michael has his bottle of water and he's ready to go for the next one here. Facebook user wants to know what recommendations for people working in areas that solar isn't as common.
Well, I spend most of my time in Arizona, and we also are operating in Nevada. And so I have the great blessing of selling solar in markets where there's lots of inventory when it comes to sunshine, and there's lots of solar systems around the neighborhood. So customers, it's getting to the point now where a customer is feeling left out. Like, are you trying to be the last one on the block that doesn't have solar in those markets? It's not quite that saturated. But certainly you're not feeling like you're the Lone Ranger if you go solar. So if you're in one of those markets where the saturation or the take rate for solar is super low, and it's a different kind of blessing, right? You're not going to be you're not going to be in a situation where all the the leading adopters, the early adopters are gone. You're not going to be having to talk to someone who said no to a solar presentation 4, 5, 10 times. So you're going to have to take the good with the bad. It's going to be more important for you to understand the math, right? Solar is not about magic. It's about math. And you need to know the math for that person in that market. So how much sunshine are they getting? How much system, how much solar kilowatt hours does a 10 kilowatt system produce? And you may not want to try selling solar in Alaska if there's not enough sunshine to make the thing work. So it's important for you to understand the math so you can address the customer's objections. If somebody thinks this is a bad market for solar, that's just another objection. Well, guys, solar isn't magic. It's just math. Let me tell you about the math here in Idaho. Let me tell you about the math here in Michigan. Let me tell you about the math here in New Jersey. When we have a solar system in New Jersey, it doesn't produce as much as a solar system in Phoenix, Arizona. However, the math is that the utility company's charging 30 cents, 40 cents. So if we have a solar system that only produces, say, 1.2 instead of 1.6 or 1.8 kilowatt hours, 10 kilowatt system's not producing 18,000, it's producing 12,000. What's the math at 20, 30 cents, 40 cents per kilowatt hour so that you can overcome that objection, show the customer the math, show them why it makes sense. And again, selling solar is not necessarily about savings. I would say the non-common areas are the ones where the utility prices are low. And if they're paying, 9 or 10 cents and solar's about 9 or 10 cents, you're not walking up the door with solar savings. And then it's going to be super important to understand the rest of the math. Most of the math about solar doesn't have anything to do with monthly savings. So you need to know that math, be able to speak to it, overcome objections by using math and showing people the actual real and true benefits.
I love your sayings, and that's like ones that can stick in my head, and I'll never forget this one now. It's not magic, it's math. And I guarantee I'm going to use it in my next pitch. I'll tell you right now.
Yep, it's not magic.
It's math. All right. So we got a question about refinancing. Facebook user, I'm getting ready to refinance my home and would like to wait until that is complete before I move forward with solar.
Yeah, and so if somebody has been told by a real estate mortgage person that they need to not touch their credit, and it used to be more of an issue when our primary lending sources did actually leave a credit, report pull. If you were pulling the report, it was a hard pull, and it showed a what do we used to call those things? An inquiry. That could affect someone going solar. So what I would do in that case back in that day is I would write the system up. And I would write the contract up, and then I would show up on the day that the place was refinanced and then have them do the finance paperwork on that day. So to get as much of the paperwork going as forward as possible now. However, our primary lending sources do not pull inquiries. That's what people are worried about. Their mortgage guy had scared them to death about doing anything with their credit. They can sign up for solar. Nothing's going to show up on their credit report for months and months until after this thing is installed in probably 30, 60 days. When their first payment shows up, then they'll show, perhaps, depending on the lender, what shows up on the credit. So it is not a good reason to not do that. And they should not hold off, and they should not wait.
Yes, and this has evolved over time because now it's soft credit check and not even hard until install with some of these lenders out there. So that's always a good news. No dealer fee loan, then you go right into a soft credit check. There's no reason to wait now.
None, no reason to wait.
Love it. We're gonna keep going. Casey Lopez said, "Preach." Facebook user said, "Get used to selling without a tax credit." Love it.
David Williamson from Titan said something about he wished the tax credit was gone now. And I'm like, what? What? Are you crazy? There's no way I want the tax credit to be gone now. Now, I know it's going to be gone eventually, but the last thing in the world I would want is for it to be gone now, because I want that to create the world's biggest deadline. All right. So today, when I'm talking to a homeowner today, I'm letting them know we're in the last 44 weeks of there being a 26% tax credit. Right. So we've got 11 months where the tax credit is exactly 26%, and then it's gone. Guys, Build Back Better failed. We were all hoping and praying that Build Back Better was going to pass and the tax credit was going to get extended for 10 years. Possibly get increased, possibly. That bill is dead. It's not passed. What does that mean? It means the tax credit at 26% is over. Guys, if you're not serving the customer by bringing that message to them and bringing it to them with tremendous urgency, if they don't understand that all these solar systems that have been sold with that tax credit, and that tax credit is going away, you need to be making that super clear, super urgent, and the person that is being helped by that is the customer.
Yes, 100%. If Michael O'Donnell is good at anything, he is great at building urgency. And
you know why you need urgency, Joe? You know why you need urgency to sell solar? Because people don't need solar. Solar's a huge benefit, but if they don't get solar, nothing bad happens. So you get a lot of people in the roofing business that are used to being one of 4 or 5 companies, and they made a good impression and they had a good price, and they know the customer's going to call one of them back and go solar. Right? If you don't sell solar at the presentation, that customer's probably not going solar, right? They're not going solar with you for sure, and they're probably not going solar at all. Why? Because they don't need solar. You need a roof that doesn't leak, but you don't need solar. You already have electricity. You're able to afford the bill. You're not really thinking about the fact that you won't be able to afford the bill 10 years from now. And that's the part that we're being of service. We're going to show the customer, yeah, you can afford $200-300 a month now, but can you afford 2-3 times that in the next 10 years? They're not thinking about that. And if they're thinking about finances and economics and the way they used to before COVID, and if you're selling solar the way you were selling solar before COVID, you're selling it wrong, because everything has completely changed.
Yeah, speaking of that, net metering 3.0 in California, there's a big thing in the news, but that's also building amazing urgency, right? For the homeowners. Why not grandfather in now before that happens, right?
Yeah, and that means, so every utility if you think you don't have anything to sell from an urgency standpoint, number one, I just talked about the tax credit. That's the same for every single salesperson selling solar. Number two, if you don't think something's going on with your utility, you're wrong. So utilities are changing how they give credits to customers who have grid-tied solar. California's net metering 3.0. Man, if I was in California, I would be hammering 3.0, hammering it. People should get signed up now. Almost every single time anything's ever changed with the utility and their, the utility credit scheme, the existing customers have been grandfathered in for 10 or 20 years. So it's super important that customers get signed up for solar now, because the deal from the utility is absolutely going to change. In Arizona, the deal changes every single year. The cash price, we don't have net metering, we have cash metering. So you pay cash for solar and they pay you cash back for solar. It goes back and forth. And there's a differential. They charge a little more than they pay. It's not one-to-one like net metering. If you're in a market that has net metering, customers need to know that is going away. They need to get that done now. If there's a cash price, it's going to be lower in the future. So it's super important that customers understand, I need to get going with solar now, because the deal solar's not going away, but the tax credits are going away, and the net metering or whatever the metering deal is from the customer, that's changing over time, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse.
And you talk to the homeowner the same way, right? With this passion and this charisma.
You know, yes, I do. Sometimes people go, do you really call homeowners stupid? No. Like not going solar. Like I tell people, if people don't go solar, it's because they're either ignorant or stupid, right? And we can help ignorant. We can fix ignorant, right? That's what we're doing in a solar presentation. We're taking a consumer who's ignorant that the fact that what they're paying now for the utility is going to double and triple over the next so many years. They're not thinking about that. They're ignorant about that. We're enlightening them about that. But if they hear that and they just want to go, there's been inflation for all of time and now there's not going to be any more, that's just stupid, right? And we can't fix stupid. Do I call homeowners stupid to their face? No. All right. But I also don't feel bad if I'm not able to help somebody who is reacting to a solar opportunity, in a stupid way. When I'm at a door and someone says, I'm not interested in solar, I'll be like, yeah, no kidding. No one's interested in solar. You see all these solar panels that are behind me? All these solar panels are already sold. I've sold all of them. Me and my sales guys have sold every one of these solar. There's, tens of millions of dollars worth of solar panels in here, and they're all already sold. But guess what, guys? They're sold to people who are not interested in solar. No one's interested in solar. Solar's boring. It's just this photovoltaic process that converts energy from sunlight into, kilowatt hours. Nobody's excited about that. They're not interested in it. What they're interested in is in money. They're interested in financial independence. They're interested in stability. They're interested in creating a mechanism where they can ensure that their family can afford to live in the home they're in. And if they are refusing to look at what's happening in the world today, and they don't understand that solar is a safe harbor in a massive storm, maybe that's not an ignorance thing. Maybe they're just kind of stupid. And you can't help somebody who's stupid. You can help people who are ignorant, but it's your job to help them see where they are uninformed and how being informed is going to help them in a dramatic way.
I love it. Guys, we're going to be running out of time here. This is your opportunity to get some questions in. We got so many in here still. But any good books to recommend, Mike?
I would say the primary issue with selling solar is getting your ass propelled to a door, right? And that's really the big issue. If we could, all of us, get to 100 doors a day, we'd have 2 or 3 appointments every day, and we would sell 1 or 2 of them every day. And we would be the highest producing salesperson in the industry. So I've had Golden Door Awards year after year after year after year. That's between 200 and 300 solar systems sold each and every single year. That means I never got to 365. The highest amount I've ever sold in a year was about 306. That means I did not sell one every day. If you were able to propel yourself onto a door and get to 100 doors a day, there's no way you don't sell one a day and become the highest. That's the highest, selling salesperson in the entire industry. Like anyone listening to this could just decide, I'm going to do that 365 days out of the next 365 days a year. And you will. It's not magic, it's math. Right? If you knocked on 100 doors, 2 or 3 people would say, all right, I'll see a presentation. And if you know what you're doing, you're going to sell at least 1 out of 3, hopefully 2 out of 3, maybe sometimes 3 out of 3. If you really know what you're doing, you should be selling 2 out of 3 full sit-down presentations. And the difference between making the roster in Major League Baseball and making the Hall of Fame is striking out only 6 times out of 10 instead of 7 times out of 10. It's just a little bit of understanding, a little bit of skill. It's understanding how to get somebody past that point where they want to think about it and then doing paperwork 15 minutes later. That's where the key is. And striking out only 2 times or writing up 2 people out of 3 instead of 1 people out of, that's the difference between on the roster on a solar league and then being at the very top of your leaderboard and even the industry leaderboard. And that's where the skills come in. You were asking me about a book. I would recommend my book. So my book is coming out April 1st. It's called No Matter What, WATT. And it's literally the recipe for a 7-figure income in sales. It's like someone knows how to cook chicken soup. And you're like, dude, this is the most awesome chicken. It seems like magic. When someone knows how to make chicken soup, it seems like magic. Like, no, it's just not magic. You just water and a chicken and salt and celery, and here's the recipe. And so in the book that I wrote, No Matter What, coming out then, is literally a recipe for making a 7-figure income in sales. And in that is all of the things that I do to propel my ass onto a door every single solitary day, and doing that over and over and over again. And then when I'm on the door, how do I get invited to the kitchen table? Once I'm invited to the kitchen table, how do I make a presentation that's just going to blow somebody's mind, like light their ass on fire? Like, if you're doing a solar presentation and people don't start hopping up and down because their ass is on fire, you're doing it wrong. If you're presenting solar properly, people should literally experience their ass on fire, realizing that they have a dramatic, possibly cataclysmic problem, and that the person sitting here talking to me has a very simple, no upfront cost solution to what is, potentially a cataclysmic problem for their family and their family's finances. So that's it. But I have a whole bibliography in that book of the things that got me to where I am. Many habits was one of the things that I employ every day. I've turned those into no matter what habits, things that I do every day, no matter what. How to do, presentations. There's so much skill out there. My coach, Michael Burt, taught me how to activate my prey drive, and hopefully how to activate other people's prey drive. And then the grandfather of all, it's not a sales book. It's really a mindset book. It can be applied to anything, but Think and Grow Rich is the book that really changed me from somebody who was comfortable making $10,000 a month, and got me thinking, $10,000 a month, how come I'm not making, $10,000 in a day? Like, if I think a $40,000 month is awesome, why am I not trying to have a $40,000 week? And it was in digesting and understanding Think and Grow Rich that what I'm trying to do is use this time to create generational wealth. That's what I'm trying to do. If you're not thinking about the fact that you're trying to create generational wealth, you're probably selling yourself short. Most people are working to pay their bills, and you need to get past the point where you feel like you're being successful if you're paying your bills and avoiding bankruptcy. And now get to a point where you're saying, no, in 5 years, my net worth is going to be X. In 10 years, my net worth is going to be Y. I'm going to be financially independent and not have to work anymore after 5 years or 10 years or whatever that number is. It needs to be in writing. You need to say it out loud every single morning. You need to be able to see it, believe it, conceive it, and then you will achieve it. All of that comes from Think and Grow Rich. And that was the turning point for me. When I started treating that book as a textbook, it was on my shelf for 30 years. When I started treating that as a textbook, my whole life changed.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for answering these questions so in depth, man. I really appreciate you. And I'm sure the audience is. We have so many more. We don't have to go into this one too much, but Facebook user wants to, I'd like to hear Mike's door pitch, but you want to just kind of give a little hint of, what you do. I mean, you have already so far. So
I'm going to show you the best door pitch in the whole world. You want to see it? Knock, 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 knock.
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Hello.
There's no chance you want a free solar presentation proposal, is there? No, I didn't think so. Sorry, I came by. So that's the best pitch in the whole world. If you're on a doorstep doing it right now. The worst pitch in the whole world is the slick one I could give you, because I'm not on a door right now. None of you sons of bitches are buying solar from me, I don't think. And so that guy with the lanyard around his neck that's going door to door and knock, 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 hey, you don't want a solar quote, do ya? That's literally the best pitch in the world if it's on a doorstep happening. Because if you did that 100 times in a day, one of those people would kind of go, well, we kind of do, actually. We're talking about solar. You have anybody, who can speak that could come back and show us a door pitch? So, but honestly, I'm being a little flip about that, but that's to make a point. The best sales pitch, the best door pitch, and Taylor McCarthy says, quit saying pitch. It's not a pitch. You're wanting to have a conversation at the door. And so for me, my door pitch is real simple. First of all, I am way too busy to be going door to door to door to door, and still I need to make 3 appointments every day. So how do I do that? I have a no matter what, non-negotiable, can't get out of it habit that I'm going to go up to one door after every appointment that I'm in, or any reason that I'm in a neighborhood, and I'm going to get one guy to say, no, thank you. I do not want a solar quote. And why do I say one guy to say no instead of yes? Because I'm a closer. Closers are awesome at closing for one reason, and it's they don't take no well. It's also why they make terrible, terrible canvassers and appointment setters, because they go to a door and they think they're going to get everyone. They think they're God's gift to closing, and everyone's going to say yes to them. They're not. You're going to have to take a lot of no's in the process of prospecting. And so the most important distance to travel is the difference between 0 and 1. If you can go from 0 to 1, not knocking doors to not knocking doors, which for me is an ironclad, no matter what habit that I'm going to get out of I'm not going to go to my truck. I'm going to keep my bag on my shoulder. I'm going to go down the driveway, up another driveway. I'm going to get one guy to tell me no. Why no? Because even I can get someone to tell me no when I don't want to do it, which is not overwhelming, which is the whole idea of doing one push-up in the book Money Habits. So that's a big, huge part of the key. But now when I'm at that door, then I'm going to kick into closer mode, man. I'm there. I know everything there is to know about solar. If I can start a conversation with you, and the way that I do that is I knock on the door, they come to the door and they go, hey, look, I'm super busy. I only have a minute. I tried to talk to you guys numerous times and you're never here. Noticed you were home. I have no time. I just wanted to drop off a business card. And listen, I really only have a minute. I need to go, but I didn't want to miss seeing you. Is it all right with you if I drop you off this business card? By the way, have you guys looked at a solar quote yet? By the way, have you seen the numbers that your roof would produce for solar and what that would do to your energy bill? By the way, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. The federal government, we just did your neighbor's house 4 doors down on the right. That's where I'm, just leaving their house. I have another appointment. I got to go. I can come back, but I got to go, right? It's a takeaway. The whole thing is a takeaway, right? And while I'm taking me away and I'm like, I got to go, I'm going to be dropping these little nuggets. I'm not sure you're aware of it or not, but if you go solar, the government's going to give you somewhere about $12,000 or $14,000 with your size house. Did you know the exact amount the government would give you? You don't know that? That's something you're ignorant about? Well, that's something I can fix ignorant, right? I can help you understand exactly how much money the federal government's going to give you. And of course, solar costs less. Do you know how much less it would cost you each month for solar rather than it would be what you're paying for the utility? You don't know that either? Awesome. By the way, I don't know that either, and I don't have any more time, but the guy who knows all of this is my engineer. I'm going to leave here now, and I'm going to go talk to my engineer on the way to this other appointment. I'm going to have him pull up your roof. And the first thing I'm going to do is have him tell me if your roof sucks for solar. If it sucks for solar, I'll probably call you back, but I might not. Honestly, if it sucks for solar, this probably might be the last conversation we ever have. But if it doesn't suck, then what I'm going to have him do is fit the panels onto the roof where they go. Do you know where the solar panels go on your house? If you had a design, are they on the front of your house, the side, or the back? I don't even know where we are. Which direction? Where's the sun come up on your house? Can you step out here for a minute? When you're sitting in your front yard, which direction is the sun coming up and coming over your house? Okay, so let's do this. You don't know anything, and I don't know anything about your particular house. Let's have an engineer get involved. Let's have that guy pull up your roof. Let's have that guy figure out where the panels go, right? I don't know where they go. Maybe they're right in the front of your house and you're going to hate it. I don't know. So let's have him figure out where the panels go. Let's have him figure out how much sun your roof gets and how much we'll generate. See if we can make enough power to make your electric bill go down to half or $0 or $20 a month. I don't know what that is, but we're going to have the engineer figure all that out. By the way, he's also going to include in that design precisely how much money the federal government's going to give you. Exactly how much. I don't know if it's 10 or 12 or $14,000, but it's a bunch of money. That's going to be in there too. And oh, by the way, most of our customers, it's not really a savings thing. I'll know what that is. It's going to cost less. Solar's less. But most of our customers make between $50,000 and $100,000 profit by virtue of the fact that they own their own electricity plant instead of renting the one down at the utility. It's a 25 year spreadsheet. I don't know those numbers. He'll know them all. I'm going to get all that numbers back. When I have them, if it's awesome, I'll come back and show you the numbers. Does that make sense? Does that seem like a reasonable plan?
Man,
it seems like this is making sense to you. Am I right about that? Okay, yeah, awesome. Yeah, now, that kind of makes sense. Wouldn't it be better to know those numbers than to not know those numbers? Like, is ignorance a strategy for you? Right? That's not saying those words, but I'm asking them. If it wouldn't it be better to know those numbers versus not know those numbers? I'm asking him if ignorance is a good strategy, right? Now, would I say those words to him? No, I wouldn't say those words. But I'm going to ask him a question that leads him to that thought, right? But I tell people, don't sell appointments. I'd say the biggest mistake I see with people on the doors is they start talking about solar and someone starts nodding their head going, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to know something about that. And then they're like, okay, so Tuesday at 5, I could come back, and what time? And they start trying to sell an appointments. Guys, don't sell appointments, because appointments don't sound good. What you need to do is say a bunch of stuff that sounds really good, and then say, does that sound good? And they'll go, well, yeah, that sounds good. So we'll do a bunch of work. We'll figure out how to make you an extra $100,000 by the time you retire. You sit here and do nothing. I got to go now. Does me not spending the next 20 minutes or half hour or an hour with you, does that sound good? Yeah, you leaving sounds good. And then I'll come back if it's awesome, and we'll figure out exactly how we're going to make you $100,000. Does that sound good? And what does that sound? Was he going to lie? No, no. Having an extra $100,000, would that suck? No, that sounds good. Okay, yes, that sounds good. Okay, now you and I have a problem. I'm supposed to come back here and show you those numbers, and we don't have a time to do that. So now you and I, looking at your schedule, are you guys home during the day? Are you guys home now working from, the home office thing since COVID? Are you and your wife both work during the day? I'm going to start another conversation. And I'm not selling an appointment, because appointments don't sound good. Would you like to have a man come to your house? He's going to be here for hours. You can't get rid of him. He's going to put a bunch of pressure on you. You're going to miss Survivor. Dinner's going to be late. Does that sound good?
No.
Like, no, man, that does not sound good. So don't sell appointments. Sell how they're going to end up getting a bunch of money from the government. It's going to cost them nothing. But this, report, this proposal, I use the word estimate. Like, if your house needed paint, you would get an estimate, right? And would you be scared of the sales guy coming back with your estimate for how much it's going to cost to paint your house? No, you'd have the guy over to get you an estimate, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the design. We're going to do an estimate on what your profit will be over the next 20 or 25 years. Most of our customers in this size of house, their profit is somewhere about $100,000. And that is the case. You do a 25-year, cost of doing nothing versus what it cost if you were solar. It's going to be $50,000 to $100,000 by itself on a good size home. Then you take into effect that they paid the solar system off with money that they were just going to light on fire and give to the utility. And then the 26% tax credit, that's money they're earning right now. They earn that money today, and they're going to light it on fire if they don't go solar. So I'm going to bring this information back, and you're going to see how instead of lighting 10, 12, 14,000 on fire, we're going to invest it in your home. By investing it in your home and then spending this monthly amount of money on an asset instead of a variable, unpredictable cost utility rental type scheme that you didn't ask for, instead of doing that, if you add that money up, I'm going to show you precisely how when you retire, you're going to retire $100,000 richer. Guys, if you think someone's going to be excited, want to go $50,000 into debt because you think you can save them $50 a month, that's not a compelling proposition, right? But if I say, look, if we're going to spend less over the next 20, 25 years instead of more, and you become an owner instead of a renter, and you have this fixed cost over time, and I could show you how to do that for literally no money, and then for some weird reason, the government just drops, $10, $12, $14,000 on you, wouldn't it be better to have that information than to not have that information? And by the way, do an inverted close. If the money's not awesome, you're not going to do it, right? If a guy comes over with an estimate to paint your house and it's $15,000 to paint your house, or you're gonna buy paint from that guy, you're not going to do it. So if the numbers aren't awesome, you're not going to do it, right? So I'll get that information. It's going to show you how you're $100,000 richer. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Now we have a problem. You and I have to work together to find out when I'm coming back so that we can set a time, right? Not selling an appointment.
That was so much gold in that. Guys, if you're watching this in the future, rewind it and watch the last 5-10 minutes again. There was so much value in there. I mean, my favorite part was don't sell appointments. People don't like appointments.
Appointments don't sound good.
Appointments don't sound good. Don't sell appointments. And I love the inverted close. If they're not going to do the opposite, that means they're going to do the opposite, right?
Yeah, that reminds me of the inverted close. If it's not awesome, you're not going to do it. Right now, they just said yes to not
Yep.
doing it. And people want to say no. So I want to get you to nod your head. The other thing is to get people to say no to meaning yes. And so the biggest objection at the door, you're talking to the lady of the house. She's the one who pays the bills. She's the one who wants to be cooler. You know, she's the one who wants to have the air conditioning at 74 instead of 78 because she's home all day. Her husband's at the office where it is 74, degrees. But she's afraid, or she says she's afraid. She's not really afraid. She pays the bills. She wears the pants a lot in that house. But 9 times out of 10, she's going to throw this out. And it makes me mad when the men do it. You're like, oh, I got to talk to my wife. Oh, do you need to get her permission to commission an estimate? I wouldn't say that. I always want to say that. But what I will say to the lady of the house is, oh, no, of course, we insist that you speak with him. In fact, we're going to need you both here. But are you thinking that he would be angry if you had an engineer actually do a design and get the numbers to see if they're any good?
Ooh, I like that.
What's the answer to that?
I would like.
Do you think he's going to be upset if you just have an engineer put together some numbers and that's totally free? Would he be upset about that?
No, of course not.
No, right. Yeah. So that now you've just said no, and no means yes. We're moving for, okay, perfect. So I'll have him look at the roof, get the numbers together. Perfect. You talk to him. But by the way, tell him, and I just need to know one more thing. Does he like Outback Steakhouse or Cheesecake Factory better? And she's going to go, oh, he likes Cheesecake Factory better, even though she does. No. And then it's the other way around. So the man is talking to me, telling me, the gentleman of the house is saying, oh, I got to, oh, this is great. This is awesome. This is perfect. No, I'm glad you stopped by. No, I just need to talk to the wife about, setting an appointment. She don't think she would be like mad at you if you had, an engineer just put together a design and an estimate for free, right? And by the way, what I do need you to find out, I need to find out from you is, does she like Olive Garden or Cheesecake Factory better, right? And what's the answer to that question? Oh, she loves Cheesecake Factory. Oh, my wife loves Cheesecake Factory. Okay, perfect. We got you down for Cheesecake Factory. What's the best email to get that gift card for the Cheesecake Factory into? Perfect. And what's the best phone number for you guys? Perfect. And now I'm just in the process, right? Why? Because he just told me his wife likes Cheesecake Factory better. Right.
That's way better than an appointment.
Right. If he said that he had if he said he had the authority to set an appointment with a solar guy, I'd have been talking about Outback or Texas Roadhouse. We'd be buying a mistake. But since she's the decision maker, we're going to go Cheesecake Factory.
Love it, man. We have so many comments and so little time, so I'm just going to get through as much as rapid fire time.
All right. Go.
I'm retiring in 5 years. Might be in this house another 5-10 years. Should I go solar?
I can't imagine not going solar. If I were going to be selling this house in 5 or 10 years, the last thing in the world I would want is to be showing somebody a home that has a variable utility rate and one that we know is going to double or triple in the next so many years. And guys, here's the key to solar right now. If you've been showing somebody 25-year spreadsheets in a solar presentation that was based on historical information, you're showing them the wrong information. And that's okay. Keep showing them that information, but let them know this is the wrong information. Guys, you see that monitor over my head, that CNN or MSNBC or Fox News that you're watching in the background? What that scrolling ticker tape is telling them is that we're in the middle of unprecedented inflation. The 25-year spreadsheet in your proposal is showing them historical inflation, which is, 3, 4, 5%, something we've been used to since Ronald Reagan. Guys, we don't have Ronald Reagan-like inflation anymore. We've got Jimmy Carter-like inflation, and we will for some time. They're telling us it's 7%, and that's bullshit. Cars have gone up 50%. Homes have gone up 100%. Hamburgers gone up like 20%. Coffee's gone up 100%. Where's this 7% thing? None of the numbers that I see look like 7%, but the government's telling us inflation is 7%. And they know they can't get the Congress reelected at 7%. 7% is a huge, unprecedented issue. So guys, if you're going to take the risk, if you don't move this ship into a safe harbor, instead of being out here in this storm, post-COVID, with inflation and all this stuff going on, is this crazy storm from a financial standpoint. If you don't take this opportunity to park this baby in a safe port and get it tied up, at the dock, you're crazy. If I'm going to sell, I would not want to sell solar without the tax credit. It'll be gone by then. Number two, your utility is going to completely change, right? So they're not going to be able to get the same deal you could get now from the utility. And you're going to be trying to show somebody a bill. I mean, President Biden has said we will cut our emissions in half by the end of the decade. Guys, the way they're going to do that, and this infrastructure bill that was $1 trillion, the way they're paying for that stuff is they're paying for it by taxing the stuff electricity is made of. When they tell you they're going to give you $1.2 trillion worth of bridges and roads and internet and who knows what infrastructure really means to them. Oh, and by the way, it's already paid for. It doesn't mean it's free. It means they're paying for it without income taxes. How are they doing that? They're taxing oil, gas, coal. They're taxing electricity directly. They're planning to, one, get us to stop using as many fossil fuels, to cut that number in half by the end of this decade. That's not 10 years, that's 8 years. All right. How are they going to do that? They're just going to tweak the dial. They're going to get rid of the tax credits and tweak the dial. If kilowatts are 2 or 3 times the cost of what they are now, which is what they are telling us. So start listening to what they're saying on TV and start repeating it to customers. They go, oh yeah, that's what they were talking about on TV. Unprecedented inflation. What are you going to do about unprecedented inflation? Like, your biggest bill outside of your mortgage is your utility bill. Here's your opportunity to lock it in for the next 10, 20 years. Wouldn't you rather in 10 years be selling a home that had a locked in bill for the last 10 years, had all those payments going to paying down the principal of that ownership model, than in 10 years be saying, yeah, it ain't 200 anymore, it's 400. Guys, we'll be lucky if a $200 bill is only $400 in 10 years. That's not what the news is telling us. That's not what the government's telling us. That's not what the Green New Deal is about. That's not what 7%, which is not what we're having, inflation is about. We're going to see that number double or triple by the end of the decade. And this is, you know, people are not at a door going door to door going, would you like to get the solar? That's not what solar is about. It's like, literally, it's like we're Paul Revere, right? And the British are in the harbor, right? 7% inflation is the British in the harbor. Okay, they're here. They said they were coming with a fleet and armies and cannons, right? We printed all this money during the, during the COVID recovery, blah, blah, blah. We printed $10 trillion. And people said, when you print $10 trillion, the consequences come due. All right. The consequences are here. And it's literally 7% unprecedented, last 40 years. No one knows. That's literally the British in the harbor. You are not going door to door going, hey, do you want to qualify for, your granola badge and save a tree and help the planet? We're like, dude, the British are coming. The British are coming. Like, the problem has arrived. And if you don't secure this and get this ship into a port, now you're literally out of your mind. That's reckless behavior as a homeowner if you're not trying to figure out how to secure your family's future with regard to energy. Oh, and by the way, did they tell you they're going to stop producing combustion engines by the same end of the same decade? What does that mean? That means your cost for electricity at your home is also going to be 100% calculating your cost for transportation, not just housing. Literally, if you're not dealing with this, there's just a screw loose. And if you don't help them point to that screw that's loose and help them get that thing tightened down, you're doing a disservice to that customer.
I think you guys see why Mr. Mike O'Donnell helps so many homeowners go solar, and not in the future, today. Okay. We are running out of time. I mean, there's so many more comments. We have to get you back on again.
That's all right, because we're going to cover the rest of it at SolarCon. Thanks to Joe and Jake. They asked me to be the first speaker at the first SolarCon. Super fired up. We aren't even talking about, like, there's a whole nother realm of things to talk about. And it's going to make a ton of sense. All these word tracks, guys, all you got to do, you can go to modsalesacademy.com and you'll be able to just pick this stuff up and you'll be able to repeat it over and over again so that you're saying this exact same stuff at the door, during the presentation, and in the close. And guys, the part of the breakthrough for me was, I am a decent sales guy, right? I've been selling for a long time. When I'm getting someone to say yes when they tried to say no to the appointment, I feel a little kind of like, a little slippery, a little con job, maybe, oh, you're just a fast talker, things that call salespeople that don't like salespeople. When I'm in the home and they tell me they want to think about it, and I utilize the today only close and then the Colombo close, and I just keep emptying the clip, close number 4, close number 5, the if I could, would you close? I just keep going and going and going and going until the customer is now doing paperwork 15 minutes later. I used to feel kind of shameful about that, kind of slippery about that. And you know what? If I was selling some BS thing that didn't really help them, I would have to say, yeah, that's probably true. But when I'm taking someone who thinks they need to procrastinate in today's environment and today's economy, they think they need to think about it. And I help them get over this idea that somehow procrastination is good. And in fact, I get them onto the idea, no, I need to take action. I need to get the process started right now, today. Hey, guys, you're talking about the psychological, the psychological warfare of sales, or the psychological issue is in my brain, not the customer. If I feel like I'm being some, con man, used car salesman thing by using some trick to get somebody signed up today, it's not a trick. Guys, the things that we're telling them are true, but if you don't say it, if you don't take the tool out, if you don't take the hammer out of the bag and hit the nail on the head to get that customer over that objection and doing paperwork now, you have missed an opportunity to be of service. That's not some slimy sales thing. That's you doing the actual job. They invited you to their kitchen table where they make decisions so that you can help them make a decision. Deciding to do this on a different day is a decision, and it's a bad one. The regrets I have in solar sales were the people where I bought that objection. So the psychology of knowing when that customer is saying, are you going to email this to me? If I know that is just their tendency to procrastinate, and then it's my job to overcome that, and by doing that, I'm being of unbelievable service, and I feel good about that, and 10 minutes later, we're doing paperwork. You know who's the happy person in that room 10 minutes later when we're doing paperwork? After I've overcome that objection about waiting till Friday, can you come back tomorrow morning? No, the class, the whole course on closing is called I'm Not Coming Back, right? So when I'm at the door, I say, I got to go, man. I only got a minute. I can't talk to you for 20 minutes. Don't worry about me being on your door for 20 minutes. I got to go. And I do. I'm busy. I got an appointment, right? But when we're at the kitchen table and they're saying they want to do it tomorrow, they want to do it Friday, I am not coming back, and it's for your own good. Now, if you say that wrong, or you don't construct it, if you don't build a frame, to hang that door, and then so when you're telling them you're not going to come back, you're about to just close the door. If you haven't built that frame, that door's not going to close. So you need to learn how to build that frame while you're on the door, while you're walking into the appointment, while you're sitting at the kitchen table. And then when you just close it, you say, you know what? No, I can't come back on Friday. In fact, I can't come back at all. And you just slam and you just close the door. It's just a nice, gentle click, click. And the customer goes, that's right. I knew that. I knew you couldn't come back. You've already explained to me how your job works and what your job is and what you do. I already know that you're not coming back. So now we have to decide whether or not we're going to get this thing moving forward or not tonight. So let's talk about that.
Speaking of that, are we getting moving forward with this or not? Is SolarCon, baby. And speaking of urgency, we're talking about getting the tickets at the best price possible. And Mr. Mike O'Donnell, because he's a keynote speaker, has an extra 25% discount for everybody right now. If you get on there, it is right there, scrolling on the screen. Go to
MOD 25, 25% off.
Yeah, 10 SolarCon.
And Joe told me I get to take advantage of that too. He's giving me 25% off.
He's getting
a SolarCon ticket.
Off. MOD 25. Get on there. Michael, thanks so much for being on here.
Joe, so good to be here, man.
Anybody can reach out to you. If they want to come out, reach out to you. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so a lot of you folks probably follow me on social media. I'm constantly dropping stuff. I got this podcast. I got another podcast dropping today, as a matter of fact, at D2D-Con. I did a solar podcast with roofing.com. Anyway, did a solar podcast with Diego at roof.com or roofing.com. That's it. Anyway, that podcast is dropping today, and it's fire. And so if you guys are solar or roofing or both, that's dropping today. But follow me on social media, and that's Michael O'Donnell Sales. That's Instagram and Facebook, Michael O'Donnell Sales. If you want to check out the actual video training, that's modsalesacademy.com. You can check that out as well.
And the discount code again is MOD25. Go to a
That's it, MOD25. Sign up with the MOD discount. I want Joe to be super impressed.
I am already, man. You can't.
And I'll see you at SolarCon, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Appreciate you. And next week, we have another SolarCon keynote speaker live stream with Mr. Rich Viola of Solar Exclusive. And I know that he's all about Solar Exclusive, but this guy is a mind when it comes to marketing, YouTube, Facebook. And he's going to be on next week to do a group Q&A with everybody. So get back next week and we'll have a great one
don't
again.
DM me about buying these solar panels, because all these solar panels, they're already sold to people who are not interested in solar. So don't even try and buy these solar panels. They're gone. They're spoken for. They're going to be installed to people who were not interested in solar when I knocked on their door.
If they're not interested in solar, that means they are interested in solar, baby. Let's go. See you, everybody, at SolarCon. Mr. Michael Don, thanks so much for doing this, man. Appreciate you like always.
You bet. Thanks, Joe. That's what's up.
Peace.